hit recording. So let's get that straight. I'm going to see if this is loaded. We're a couple seconds away from seeing if that's the case. I forgot that freaking Melo's a level 6. There's nothing really I can do about it. Alright. Hello. Alright. I think that everything is working. And I sadly think that we are here for our last MyGM episode on WWE 2K25. It's been a fun journey over the past couple of months in doing this series. It could continue, but I just think that I don't want it to get overly repetitive, and it seems like a good ending point. That being said, this is being filmed the same night as John Cena's farewell, his last match. The last time is now. There's a lot of ways I could refer to that, so I might talk about that a little bit during the course of this. I'm also filming this immediately after the San Antonio Spurs beat the Oklahoma City Thunder in the NBA Cup game. So I might mention that as well. All in all, we're here. One last episode in our MyGM series. Now, I'll give you the rundown of the things I would like to see, because there's a chance that all of them don't happen. But time will tell there. We obviously are in first place. We will enter the Hall of Fame first because we got the 10 trophies first. So I like pointing that out. But fan-wise, we have the lead, but NXT is right behind us. So I'm trying to do my best with that. Now, going over to the roster and what the plan is. Right now, Seth Rollins is our WWE champion. I expect a title change to happen on this episode. Did I use a power card for that? Yes. Regardless, looking at the roster, I want Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns to reunite. And we're going to have the Shield reunite to face the Judgment Day's Finn Balor and Dominic Mysterio. Now, it does not help that two of those individuals are injured, but I've tried all season to bring the tag team titles back, and I have failed to do it once again, but I can at least try my best to conclude the season with that happening. I've also wanted to do this matchup for a while, and it seems fitting to save it to the end. I want Rhea Ripley and Stephanie Vaquer, who have carried our women's division for the past several seasons. I want them to have a one-on-one match. Bron Breakker should be facing Ken Shamrock, who we traded for at the end of the last episode. Carmelo Hayes, I originally had planned to feud with Montez Ford, but I think I want to change that up and have him feuding with Dragon Lee, because I think I'd rather... either option's fine, but I feel Montez and Omos, because that's going to leave Montez Ford to deal with Omos, benefits us better than Dragon Lee versus Omos would. Naomi and Bayley should be teaming up to face the reuniting Damage Control members of Dakota Kai and Kairi Sane, with the interesting dynamic of Bayley being a face, Naomi being a heel, Dakota being a heel, and Kairi being a face. Because I feel a little bit too lazy to change that, leaving us with Sol Ruka, more than likely feuding with Kiana James. Now again, I'm laying all these plans out because injuries happen, vetoes happen, etc. It's nice to have a lot of plans than very little plans. The main one that I want to happen is Omos and Abyss, because I feel that is the most fun. Actually, all right, that is the second one I want second to happen most. I want Rhea and Vaquer to happen the most, because I've talked about that a lot longer than Omos and Abyss. But we have this week's episode already set up. WWE title match, Omos, Montez Ford, a submission match at the request of this man whose name I will try my best not to say. We have a women's U.S. title match in the main event. So let's go ahead and get through it. So, Cena's farewell. I will go ahead and admit to all of y'all that I did not cry. I thought there might have been a chance that it happened, but I didn't. Mainly because I was shocked, a little bit shocked by the outcome. And I kind of was just laughing once Triple H came out and everybody started booing him. And I just knew that he had to bring his ass out. I also said I was going to not try to say his name, but just like him, he cannot stay out of the lump. He has to come out and, make it like, I'm over it. I'm over it. I don't hate Triple H as much as Twitter does right now, which again, that's kind of funny, but, it is what it is. I was also surprised that Cena didn't give a farewell speech, but that's what the Hall of Fame's for, even though the Hall of Fame doesn't mean as much as it used to. And B, it's kind of hard to wrap up a 20-plus year journey into like a handful of minutes and not try to keep everybody there for that long, even though I feel that Cena's one of the guys that would be capable of doing that. But I can understand it. Thank you, Cena, is most that I could say, at least. And it's going to be the thing is, it's going to be weird when he like comes out in a suit. I don't think I will like that whatsoever. I really don't. I can understand him wanting to do that and make it a deal of it, because legitimately any other time outside of WWE he's in a suit, so I can understand him wanting to do it. It's also weird because there's a narrative going on that so many fans think that he's just going to come back and compete. Like, this is like he will compete again, which I don't know realistically how to feel about that. Jake Roberts finally wins a world championship. And this is going to be an extremely hot take. I don't think there's like we just went on this like year-long journey of his retirement tour, and there is definitely like future talent that he should have stepped in the ring with and against, like Carmelo Hayes and Bron Breakker, like names that he's like mentioned that just didn't happen because they went on the route of him facing his rivals one last time, and then he would face the future. And I don't want to say he faced the future in Cody Rhodes because Cody Rhodes was there, but he's the guy. But it's just kind of a case of like, I'm not really losing sleep over a lot of the matches that we didn't get, where I feel that a lot of people are. So it's kind of a weird thought process to have, but it's going to be what it's going to be, as he would say. This should not get a high rating. It's going to be just me being a hater. Got the same damn rating as ours. All right, I'm trying to the rocks here. So yeah, definitely a weird feeling. I'm extremely interested to seeing the direction that WWE goes now, because it feels that this year, any issue, and I'm saying that quote unquote, but like anything that they had and like any promotion they had was like, let's put John Cena at the front because it's his last time. We're going to make that the big deal, as it should have been, and it was. But now they cannot do that. And I don't know what the hell they will try to do, because nothing I feel is going to help them now that dramatically. So I'm intrigued to see the direction that we're headed towards. And I don't even know if it's going to be that good of one, is the real issue. You know what? I wasn't going to renew him, but I think that I will. So share that's your least popular cruiser in his match this week, which I think is Dragon Lee, but it is one that I did not have to do because I already have this power card. So, who has our lowest stamina? It is Bron Breakker. I know it does not make the most sense to bring to have our world champion miss a week, but it is extremely needed. And I need to use as many of these power cards as I can. I almost used the wrong one. But we'll be using this one on Bron Breakker, correct? Yes. All right, boom. That's thing one. Thing two. Can't use one of those. We need to use one of these next week, and the other two when we get to the go home episode. We need to use an injury rehab now. Dominic. I probably benefits us the most for Oba Femi. I almost said almost. Naomi makes sense. So we'll come back to that. Because I want to see what we all could do. We could do all this episode before we get too crazy. Ken Shamrock is here. Dragon Lee is here. Alright, I have a crazy idea. Okay, I'm just wasting money, if I'm being honest. Alright, here's my crazy idea. Because Bron Breakker is gone for the week. Ken Shamrock is a fighter. Ooh, this makes a lot more sense. This will make a lot more sense. We're going to bring in Baron Corbin. Our main event is a casket match with Ken Shamrock versus Baron Corbin because he was former tag partners with Bron Breakker. Now what makes it funnier / crazier is we're going to use this fixed match card on Ken Shamrock. That way he wins. The rest of the show... All right, we need a we're gonna do a women's tag title match. If the titles change hands, they change hands. But I need the tag champs, obviously, against Kyrie and Dakota. And I'm gonna, if this counts, I imagine this will count for Dakota wanting a match with Stephanie Vaquer. But if not, we'll try our best to do that next week. So I'm all right with that match right here. I might actually, now that I think of it, we're going to change this. We're actually just going to do it one-on-one matches, and then next week, hopefully with more people back, we'll do it as a tag title match. And then if they lose, we can do Bayley and Naomi versus, which we will also have the fixed match card. That way, boom, we could do Rhea versus Stephanie Vaquer. So we'll do Rhea versus Kyrie, which does not help that both are faces. Rhea, all right, everybody's freaking, there's no heels. We'll come back to that. What is a good match that we could do up here, though? We need Mello to have the week off. Dragon Lee and Omos with a run-in from Carmelo Hayes. We'll come back to that. We'll probably need to change that up because I need to come over here. We'll have Abyss do a charity promo. I'm trying to get as many charity promos as I can. Sol Ruka probably should be in a match. It just hurts that like all of our female talent are faces besides Dakota. So we need to change this stipulation. But I'm definitely doing that as a casket match. I will say that. We could do... I'm going to pass on that. This would make sense in a stipulation with Mello interfering. We'll probably just settle on it. We'll just do a tables match. I think that is the best route to go. But... what could we do for these people up here? Again, it does not help that everybody are. So I want Bayley and Naomi versus Dakota and Kyrie as our women's tag title feud. Like I said, I think the singles matches make sense. And then doing a one-on-one with Omos and Dragon Lee would make sense with Mello interfering. So yeah. Alright. So we will be doing Rhea Ripley versus Kairi Sane and Dakota Kai versus Stephanie Vaquer. It kind of sucks that Sol Ruka's not involved in anything because she's got a high stamina. But you can see, I don't like, logically speaking, this stuff that I'm doing makes more sense. We'll just settle. Screw it. We'll do a Falls Count Anywhere match. Don't have any. So we need to use one of these this week. Because then if we're at show 23 next week, and we'd use both of these the week after. So we need to use one of these this week, and we'll use it towards NXT. Boom. Injury rehab, I will hold off on because Dom should be back next week. If I had a 2-week one, I would go ahead and use it on Finn. And because we already have this week's show booked, you know, I don't have to like rush anybody back. But next week we need Finn back because I could do a Dom versus Seth and Roman triple threat. And if Finn's back, we could use that promo to turn him back heel. But I would mainly rush in doing that if, keyword if, we have the 1-week injury rehab card. Because I want to try to save this 3-week ones for people that are out for longer. So there is that. I used a fixed match on Ken Shamrock. I used a Veto Star in NXT. We have the health rehab on Bron Breakker. We'll wait and use that one as well. Can't use that one, and this one doesn't matter as much. Who is the least popular person here? I don't really, We'll wait and hold off on this one for when it matters a little bit more. So here's another episode. I'm kind of ready for the holidays to be over with. I'm kind of ready for 2026, just because I feel with the new year, it kind of like solidifies new change. I know I'm not saying new year, new me, but there's a lot of changes that I want to do. There's a lot of new things that I want to do. And I just feel that it's better to wait until next year to do it instead of trying to squeeze it in just like tight window of time that we have now, especially because there's a lot of stuff going on over the next couple of weeks. But 2026 should be a little bit interesting. I have no clue what they're going to do for WrestleMania this year because the rumor and the way that things seem to be going was Roman versus Cody 3. And I don't even really know what they're going to do with CM Punk because there's a high chance he loses the world title to Bron Breakker on the first Raw of the year. Which, if that was the case, here's the thing. Thing one, I'm interested in seeing Street Fighter. I wanted to bring that up because the trailer came out last week. And I'm not the biggest Street Fighter fan. I know a lot. I have Street Fighter 5 on the PlayStation 4, but I never played the store build on. I just like did fights randomly. But this movie looks fun. Will it be good? I'm not necessarily a movie critic, but you understand the point. That being said, if Roman is in a world title match and he becomes world champion is what I'm getting at, he needs to be there a lot more than he is. I personally think if I was fantasy booking, I don't know. I want Punk to have here's the thing. We keep doing this talk about the future, who's the future, who's the, etc. Bron Breakker is like the leading candidate right now for WWE. And if he ended up as world champion, which we're legitimately like very close to that being a reality, I should be okay with it. You know? Okay. I'm glad that I waited. But I don't want them screwing over Punk in his world title reign because he has not gotten a chance to do anything with it. I kind of want Punk's world title reign to go to at least Mania. 2 weeks is not that bad. So I think fantasy booking wise, I would go. I'm essentially screwing over Punk is what I'm doing. Actually, yeah. I don't know. It seems like they're not going to do Punk and Roman, which was the direction that I would have went because they really were harping and trying to make that a big deal. You could include Seth in it like afterwards as like a little, because like you might need something for Seth to do because he might be back by then. I don't know. I just kind of talked out of my ass right now. I also don't remember what this challenge was to get. I think it was to put a cruiser in a match. All right, fan-wise, we were doing pretty okay. Or where the hell's our women's title? Hey, Aldis. Okay, that's not good. That is not good. This is okay, but now I have to turn Naomi face, I will say. Okay, now we have to find a tag partner for Dominic, Finn, or we either need a contract. Okay, we don't have a contract extension. So, Finn, since you want to be doing us like that, we'll at least take your $4,000. We need a tag partner for Dominic. I kind of want to save $25,000. AJ Styles, JD McDonough. Okay, if you had the choice between AJ Styles and JD McDonough, you know, we might sign AJ to do something else. Drew McIntyre. Doesn't make the most sense. Does not make the most sense. It only does because he doesn't like Roman. We'll come back. Oh my God, this is difficult. This is difficult now. Because logically speaking, JD McDonough is here. We didn't really get to do a lot with Drew last season. I'm just going to go with Drew. Bite the bullet. It costs a lot. And JD McDonough makes a lot more sense, but I want to give Drew a real proper chance here. So we're going to bring in Drew. I got to find something for AJ. I feel that I can find something for AJ. Because AJ helped us out a lot on our roster. So, we need to bring Dakota back as well. Because we need this tag title match this week. Logically speaking, timeout. So, Bayley is a face. This again, we need Naomi. And I also came to the realization that we might be screwed with that match. Here's the problem. Thing one. This is what we need right here is the injury rehab core. We don't need all that stuff. Well, we're definitely doing that match this week. Bron Breakker also would have made sense as a tag partner for Dominic. And I tried to put that pairing together a couple seasons ago, but I already went with Drew, and that would have left Ken Shamrock out anything, so I'm not entirely against that. Something might come out of that, something might not. Melo's at a freaking 0 stamina somehow. Montez and Omos are... Where the hell is Montez? Montez and Omos. Oh, jeez, Omos. And then up here, we should do a triple threat for the WWE title with a Dom run-in, or actually a Drew McIntyre run-in. Or... Because here's the thing, we don't really need Bron doing a freaking promo because he's not a good promo. Let's think this through. I've also just realized, like, there's not a lot. Like, next week is our big show. And we're going to have to bring Ken Shamrock back next week. And we might not even get a women's tag title match. We might have to do like a multi-woman ladder with the others. If Naomi's not back, which we might have a tag title match for Mania. Who knows yet. We gotta hit this main event. I kind of wanted to conclude Seth and Bron, but it's not a necessity. And I kind of wanted to establish Drew. Alright, let's do it this way. How much is a tornado tag match? We don't have enough for a tornado tag. That's fine. Yeah, let's go ahead and establish this. And next week, it gives reason for the tag titles being involved. Because we'll probably have to do that match next week. So let's go ahead and do that in the main. And then over here, we're going to have Mello do a class change. We won't do any charity promos this week. We will have... I forgot about signing AJ. I'm so sorry, AJ, but you're probably not going to get... See... all right. We signed AJ... Because if I'm being honest, if I signed AJ, it probably would be... Do we have a U.S. champion? We don't, do we? Oh, we do. It's almost Femi. Forgot about it. I didn't know. All right. That's on me. I love AJ Styles, but money-wise and not really have anything to do unless... Okay. Let's try to book around Son and AJ. How about we do that? We only have one... Timeout. Did we use a fixed match this week already? I don't think we did. No. All right. Let's think this through. Thinking it through. Because if I'm bringing AJ in, I want it at Mania. I want a TLC match. Carmelo Hayes, AJ Styles, Montez Ford, Dragon Lee for the U.S. title. I've also realized that Ken Shamrock's out for 2. Booking around these injuries was cool. Next week, Omos Obafemi is happening. Oh, Abyss Obafemi, because I was looking at Omos. Abyss Obafemi is happening for the U.S. title. And we could have Abyss win. And we're probably I want to do that in a casket match. I want to point that out as well. So doing that in a casket match would free the U.S. title to do the 4-way TLC match. And I want to do the triple threat. I want to do a casket match this week with Obos and Montez. So let me go ahead, book them in that right there. I don't think that gives us enough to sign AJ, though. It's my issue. Because he's 69,000. I thought he was just 60,000. All right. So we need to cut $15,000. This is not that needed, so that's a good thing. Now, who do we not need? You know what? We don't have to... All right. We don't have to do a casket match, do we? We're probably just going to end up doing 2 casket matches next week. We're going to do a lot of casket matches next week anyways. So, we need a backstage brawl with Soruka and Kiana James. That doesn't even give us to do charity promos, by the way. We need Montez and Omos. What was this match? This was a tag team match with Roman and Seth versus Dominic and Drew. And then next week we're going to do it for the tag titles. And then over here, what was we doing? We could do a tag team match with Abyss and AJ because they were former TNA tag champions. Fun fact. Gotta screw Bailey over, by the way. Bron is healthy. We need to give Mello the week off. I will fully say that. I'm sorry that I'm doing Obafemi dirty, by the way, because I'm trying to get the U.S. title off of him. We need a Montez. We don't, really. We could also make this crazier. I think we're going to make this crazier, actually. And put right here. So this is going to be the determining factor on if next week's match is for the U.S. or the Mania TLC match is for the U.S. title or the WWE title. Because if AJ wins this, I'll just do it for the WWE title. Obafemi. I keep wanting to say Omos. Obafemi and Abyss. We'll see what happens there. They're going to be in a casket match more than likely. But we'll just do this straight up as a WWE title match. So right here, we'll do a Montez promo. Boom. Everybody's in normal matches for the backstage brawl. I can't use any of that. We need to use this. Boom. We need to use this. I can't use that on NXT. Okay. Boom. And we'll use this. Boom. Y'all use it a lot on me. This might come back to bite me because they'll probably use a lot on me as well. So next week's show should be Rhea Ripley versus Stephanie Vaquer. Bron Breakker versus Ken Shamrock. Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins versus Dominic and Drew McIntyre. Omos versus Montez Ford casket match. Abyss versus Femi casket match. So, other stipulations will be dependent on how much money we make. And, you know, we have backup plans, but I'm not going to put them out there. Ken Shamrock might be the one that's getting screwed here. Because Mania, we're doing the time out. We'll see when Ken Shamrock's going to get brought back. Because we might use that last injury rehab card on him next week. Depending on what happens with this show and who gets vetoed and whatnot. Because I wanted to do Ken Shamrock and Bron Breakker, you know. So, but Mania, I want to do the 4-way match for either the U.S. title or the WWE title. And I wanted to do Rhea Ripley versus Stephanie Vaquer. So, the money is getting extremely tight. We have a very small window left for all this as well. So, episode 148. Kiana James, sorry, but your contract probably gone. I don't care that much about this. So, Rhea Ripley and Stephanie Vaquer defending their women's tag titles against Dakota Kai and Kairi Sane. Bron Breakker versus AJ Styles for the WWE title. Backstage brawl between Sol Ruca and Kiana James. And replacing Finn Balor is Drew McIntyre, as he is there teaming up to face Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins, who are known as the Shield, or were at least. All right. I also want it to be known. I should started off with this. Last week's episode, our last episode, the previous episode, as we do have new women's tag champions. So the setup for Rhea and Stephanie is kind of put right in front of us. What was I getting at? Jesse Ventura. Jesse the Body Ventura, I should say. As that settles another thing. He was at Saturday Night's Main Event. He was not on the show, but he was on the pre-show. He was in the building this time around. So it was a fitting time because last week's episode was centered around him. So do I take credit for it? Not really, because he's his own man. But, you know, it's just like with Shaq. When we had Shaq in the title of our video, what happened? That episode of Open Fight Night that he was on, and then freaking speaking of look, boom, he's right there. But that episode of Open Fight Night he was on in TNA back in the day got uploaded to YouTube, like right when our video got uploaded. So I'm like, I can manifest stuff that doesn't benefit me that greatly. It's just coincidences, I guess I should say. I just realized the Road Dogg was there. We had a poor finale Which I guess is somewhat fair because we had a WWE title match also on our show. All right, big show right here. That hurts. That really hurts. Okay. Hey, listen, yeah, blah blah. That's fair. I'm not giving him a bonus. You just got here. Okay. Let's think this through. Can we do stipulation matches? We can. I was concerned that with this stuff that we couldn't, but we can. That's hilarious that that's here, but that doesn't really benefit us that much. What do we need the most? What do we need the most? So, AJ Styles is here. Ken Shamrock. We're doing 2 casket matches. One with Abyss versus Oba Femi. We're doing another one with Omos and Montez Ford, with Montez Ford winning. We're doing a tag title match in our main event. I might end up changing that stipulation. Ensure you don't book your most popular bruiser. That's hilarious. I don't know who that is. Who is that? It is Roman. I could save that match for Mania, but it is what it is. What do we need up here? We need Bron Breakker and Ken Shamrock in a match. Calm the hell out. I thought Dakota Kai was supposed to be vetoed, by the way. She was not supposed to be here, but I just saw her. Time out. Where the hell is the power cards? Y'all saw that too. Preventing random superstar from an opposing in next week's show. Maybe she can't compete at Mania, so we need to have it in our match tonight. What do we need the most? I think we're going to go ahead. We're going to turn Stephanie Vaquer heel. These promos might not matter that much. We'll do one charity promo. We're probably changing some things up. All right, I could tell y'all. We need Bron Breakker and Ken Shamrock in a match this week. So, we need to go ahead and bring Ken Shamrock back. This last injury rehab card. I don't know what stipulation to put those two in. Kiana James, we said she is not coming back. She's not. I won't do her that dirty. I thought about it, though. Bron Breakker, Ken Shamrock will come back to the stipulation on that. Multi-woman U.S. title TLC match. Yeah, we're going to have to probably change some things. So, Sol Ruka, Bayley, Kyrie, and Dakota Kai. And then at Mania, we're doing Stephanie Vaquer versus Rhea Ripley for the women's world title. I don't know what to put that match in. This doesn't need to be... Does it? We'll put this in an ambulance match. That way, neither... Because we don't really need either gone. It just... when you think of a casket match, you would probably think of Abyss over Omos or Montez Ford because he was in the last rights match in TNA, which was essentially a casket match. But you get the point. I don't really want either one of these guys gone. Omos or / Montez Ford, but I think an ambulance match is kind of, it's cheaper. This actually would make more sense as an ambulance match. It actually makes more sense as a submission match, and that's what we'll have to do because of that. Now, this right here, I don't really want it in a TLC if we're doing the opener match in a TLC, but I don't know how to clear $20,000 to get them in a steel cage. This in a casket match. I want one casket match at least. This in an ambulance match. This is a submission match. Is fun. They're both low promos. Alright, so we need to save $5,000. Which firing Kiana James. Alright, I hate doing this, but y'all see. Okay. Alright. She needs to be a heel. We're doing that. Boom. Get some last fan support and some more money right there. Oh, we're $5,000 off again. Did we fire Kiana James? Did we just fire her? Memory's not that good. I don't really want this as an Extreme Rules match. I want it as a cage match. So one of these matches would have to change. I want this in a TLC. I'm alright with this to be in a TLC. This is an ambulance. This is a casket. This is a submission mix. Oh, you know what? We're going to do it in the underground. Save $10,000 there. Boom. So there's that. I am fine with these matches. So, before I write all this down, at WrestleMania, we're doing AJ Styles. Ooh, I know I was forgetting something. We are doing AJ Styles versus Dragon Lee versus Carmelo Hayes versus AJ Styles versus Carmelo Hayes versus Montez Ford versus Dragon Lee in a TLC match for the WWE title. We're doing Stephanie Vaquer versus Rhea Ripley for the women's world title. Who are in the other matches? I don't know just yet, but it should not be that difficult of a decision. I need to see if I just did one thing right. And I did. Alright. I'm alright with this. Sorry, Naomi, that you didn't get the women's tag title match. Sol Ruka defending her women's U.S. championship against Bayley, who she faced this Saturday Night's main event. Kairi Sane and Dakota Kai, women's U.S. title TLC. Boom. Abyss versus Femi in an ambulance match for the U.S. title. Bron Breakker versus Ken Shamrock in the Underground. Montez Ford versus Omos in a casket match. And to crown our tag team champions that we waited all season for, the reuniting shield of Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins versus Dominic Mysterio and Drew McIntyre in a steel cage match. As I just think I realized I won't have enough to write all this down on this last page. Should have had to start a new one, but that's not the worst thing. Yeah, Sol Ruka continues her reign. Good for her. Femi continues his reign. Good for him. I'm sorry for saying Omos for half this video because Omos, Abyss, Femi all start with like the same sayings and they're all tied together. So, and I wanted to do an Femi Omos match, but we won't get the chance to do that now as both these guys get injured in a chaotic match. So, glad we got that done. I wonder who wins this one. I mainly did the casket match to get the fan boost. And because we're towards the end of the season, whoever loses, it doesn't matter that much. As the Shield are once again tag champions in a 4.5 star match. Let's see what the competition does. Shaq, Javon Evans. Try to write down things already. Because we'll have 4 matches on the show. I have 4 lines left, and I don't, again, even know if that's enough room for everything. Without starting a new paper, which is not the worst thing, but someone that's very organized, I don't really want to do that. This is also the last UFC on ESPN. I knew I was forgetting something, so I didn't really intend on watching it. But it's something that should have been a big deal, but wasn't necessarily. And again, going into the new year, I'm glad it's going to be a lot easier to keep up and watch UFC on Paramount Plus, even though it's a whole month plus before we get a show. And they had a whole tribute video. Again, I'm talking things up. So we just had a 5-star match in the middle of the show. They had a whole tribute video that I'll go watch later. It's kind of crazy that... Because I'm thinking, when did Volkanovski... Did he win the title? He won the title at the end of 2019. So, Volkanovski, Pereira... so many, big names in the modern era of UFC were, in the ESPN. Izzy... He came up towards the end of the Fox era. We still have John Jones lingering around, which is hilarious that that's why people don't believe John Cena is going to retire. John Jones said he was retiring, and then he immediately was like, "Yeah, I'm going to fight at the White House." So, bold prediction. I think they're going to create more BMF titles, which I know. I don't mind the BMF title. I like the BMF title. I can understand if you have multiple of them, kind of defeats the purpose. I think more titles like the BMF title will be made because the White House card, it's going to be difficult justifying what goes on. I think it should be, but we got half a year before that should. Oh, jeez. Oh no, we're in a bad spot. We're in a bad spot. We ain't got no money. Easily we got $2 million. And NXT's right there with our fans. Oh, geez, we're in a bad spot. Okay. How he was able to use 2, I don't know. Do we get money from this? Okay. I kind of wish we got more. At least one TLC match this week. Just funny that we. All right, what am I trying to please this guy for? Even though I was, that makes it funnier. AJ Styles, Carmelo Hayes, Dragon Lee, and Montez Ford. Rhea Ripley versus Stephanie Vaquer. I really wanted them in it. Why is the No Holds Barred match all the way down here? Why is this all different? Because the backstage brawl. Why is the No Holds Barred match all the way down here? I don't know. We need to, because I need. Oh, here's the issue here. I wanted to do this in a casting match regardless. I don't think we can fire enough people to get enough money to do that, because that's a lot. It's not that much. All right. Because you can't just fire everyone as well. That's the other thing. I also forgot about this. That's hilarious. Who did we just fire? Ken Shamrock. That doesn't. All right. Dom. Where's Dom? Okay. We need to have people for the promos. So that's the other thing. This match, it would be nice, like a nice little like wrap on things if we won that, but I also wanted Solruka in this match, but we obviously can't. So who do we have? We have Kyrie, we have Abyss and Omos left. So if we're doing charity promos with them, we need $15,000 straight up, which would come from firing Seth and Roman, which is a hilarious thing to do and only gets us $10,000. So I don't even think we're going to have enough to do 2 charity promos. Bro, why is Rhea that? All right. So I think we're going to be stuck with 1 charity promo. Because I want this in a TLC match. This makes the most sense as a TLC match, and we get the PLE bonus. All right. I don't think there's a way that we could do it. All right. Having all this doesn't matter that much. Alright, this is our last hurrah. So I'm saying about all of this right now. I kind of thought we were going to have more money. Which the only issue is like we can only do 1 charity promo. That's the only issue. And we did do a lot on the last episode anyways. And I got to do the matches I wanted to do here. So I take a screenshot of this. And take a screenshot of this. That will probably be stuff that is in the thumbnail. I'm going to write all this down and then we'll be done. So, because I can't use any of these other power cards and they wouldn't even matter. Because fan-wise, NXT was like right behind us. I remember seeing that just now. NXT is gonna be our issue. NXT is fully gonna be our issue. I can't do. All right, I don't want to freaking. All right, I don't want to jinx it. Dakota Ka, because I want to look through everything one last time. Doing a TLC match for the WWE title. AJ Styles, Carmelo Hayes, Dragon Lee, Montez Ford, Rhea Ripley, Stephanie Vaquer match I've been building towards for at least 3 seasons, maybe 4. Oba Femi, Abyss. Abyss is a 4 promo. Where is Roman at? Roman is right here. Roman's a 4 promo. And then Dom is in our main event. Which that's a 4-way. Both are 4-ways. Okay. Alright. Let's go ahead and get to it. Not gonna hold y'all any longer. Io Sky of Monday Night Raw. Sensational Sherry of NXT. And Nikki Cross of ECW. As Sherry wins. WWE title TLC match, AJ Styles versus Carmelo Hayes versus Dragon Lee versus Montez Ford. WWE title TLC. I wrote 2 C's instead of an L in the middle. And we have a new champion in Montez Ford. Our biggest match ever. Oh, Biss, you only brought in 2,000 fans. Rhea Ripley, Stephanie Vaquer, the women's title's on the line, and one of them will be going away in a casket. Former tag partners, 2 women that have carried the women's division for a majority of our series. I'm just trying to delay this, that way it's all wrote down. I'm hitting the button. And Stephanie Vaquer wins. Eight weeks is a long time. I'm thinking in my mind. I'm not thinking out loud. I'll tell y'all afterwards. Very obscure backstage brawl coming up, though. Oh, you did not know. They didn't even put The Rock in a match. Oh, Jesse the Body's here. Gunther of ECW. Jesse Ventura of Raw. And Luke Gallows of NXT. Who wins? Jesse the Body does, of course. Alright. $7,427. Oh. Alright. I'll take it. We're going to the Hall of Fame first anyways. I'm just going to ignore it. We're ignoring it. Ha ha ha. You also did. Hey, I'll also say we got 3 more trophies than them as well. Alright. That's how we're concluding the season and the series. What I was thinking of was they only had one. They had a backstage brawl at a charity promo. So how they got that much at all that, I don't know. They also did sweep the board here, which is impressive, but I don't care. Alright. There it is, folks. I don't know what will be next. I don't know what's going to be next for the AHS Place series, but this one was obviously a lot of fun. So hopefully you appreciate it. But like John Cena, we're done. I don't even care about theirs. I only will get them on. All right. We're an hour in, and we're done. I'm going to not hold y'all any longer. I appreciate it, and I'll see y'all when I see y'all. Goodbye.